Hey guys, so I just got back from seeing The Call of the Wild. Um, it's only one movie today, which is so nice when I get to see only one movie, not a double feature. This was a movie that honestly I was not looking forward to one bit. Uh, Not to say that the trailers for this movie looked bad, because honestly the trailers looked fine. Like, hey, you got Harrison Ford in a big mainstream movie. I'm a big fan of Harrison Ford. I have no problem with him as an actor. I don't have a problem with him as a story. This is a story. It didn't look like a bad story. I never read the original book, the Jack London book. I never read it. I know it's a classic piece of a classic American literature, from what I've been told. I just never read it. I never had a chance to read it. I'm sure it is really good. There's a lot of great American literature that I've never read. But the problem with the movie was going into it for me. I'm sure I'm not the only one. Was as soon as you saw the trailers for this thing, one thing stuck out like a fucking sore thumb: the CGI. Like, the CGI in this movie stuck out like a fucking sore thumb, and it was distracting. Like, every time I saw promotional material for this movie or a trailer or anything for this movie, when they would show that dog and that CGI dog, I'm like, this is gonna kill this movie for me. I guarantee it. Like, it's probably not a bad movie, but it's I can't get past this fucking dog. I'm like, this is really fucking bad. Like, it's really bad. So, but like I said, because of that, I really was not looking forward to this. And out of all the movies that came out that weekend and that Call of the Wild did, it was that Brahms the Boy 2 and Impractical Jokers, it's the only one that's gotten any good reviews. So I'm like, okay, so I guess maybe this movie ain't that bad. Like, maybe my preconceived notions about this movie are wrong. Um, yeah, like maybe the CGI is not as bad as I thought it was. I don't know. I try to go with an open mind with this movie, and you know what? To be honest, I didn't hate this movie. I actually thought it was pretty good. For the most part, I thought this movie was pretty damn good. Um, it had some major problems, which I'll get into, but I did like it. I don't recommend seeing it in the theater, but I do recommend it. I did like it. I Positives. The acting in this movie is really good. Harrison Ford is fucking great. He is really goddamn good in this movie. He's one of the best actors ever lived, man. In my opinion, and he's shows off his acting chops in this movie. Even when he is in a movie he really don't give two shits about, he gives at least a decent performance. Even when he's sleepwalking, he is still giving a good performance. In this movie, I wouldn't say he's sleepwalking, but he is giving a good performance, and he's giving it his all. He plays this old man who's living out in the wilderness, who, if you don't know the story, like I didn't, who lives out in the wilderness, who is a drunk, and is just wandering out in the wilderness, who lost his son. His son died, and because of that, his marriage failed, and so he's all alone by himself. And he comes across this dog, and they become have a close bond with each other. And it's honestly the relationship between the dog and Harrison Ford is really good and really adorable, and really touching. I liked his I liked the chemistry between the two of them. Even honestly, pretty much everybody that was the dog's owners had good chemistry with the dog. I thought they all really worked out well with the dog. They had some great, especially like I said, particularly Harrison Ford. I didn't know going in that like Harrison Ford, he pops up here shortly throughout the movie, but it isn't until like halfway through the movie does he actually become a main character. and because the movie that focuses on him. I didn't know that, so I was like, I'm watching this movie. I'm going because they focus a lot on his the other owners of the dog, and not much Harrison Ford. I'm saying, wow, Harrison Ford got top billing for this movie, but then like he pops up and is in for the whole rest of the movie. I'm like, okay, that's why. Like I said, I didn't read the original book, so I didn't know that. You got Karen. Really, there's not many big names in this movie for a $250 budget. It didn't really have many big names attached to this movie, other than like Karen Gillan is in this movie briefly as this rich debutante that is that buys the dogs that a buck and the group of dogs that are the dog sled team or whatever that you see throughout the majority of the movie at one point, and she's just like got all this pile of shit in this sled, and she's just pretty much riding on top of this pile of shit, and she's this rich debutante who really don't have much to do in this movie other than be rich and snobby. It was nice seeing Karen Gillan. Bradley Whitford's in this movie very briefly at the beginning as the owner of Buck at the beginning of the movie. He's like he's a owner of this rich manor that Buck lives at first at the beginning of this movie, and then gets taken away very quickly within like probably 10 minutes of this movie. So yeah, it's not really big cast in this movie. I liked the two actors that played the mail delivery service people in this movie. I thought they really were good, particularly the girl and both the girl and the guy were really good. I thought they both were pretty good, decent actors. I don't know who they are and I don't know their names. I have to look them up, but I don't feel like it. I thought the story of this movie was really nice, really cool to watch. I liked the story. Like I said, not having read the book, it was a story I could get in. I still could get into. It's obvious, like a lot of movies and a lot of stories took a lot of inspiration from this novel. It's obvious, like stuff like Homeward Bound comes to mind. That movie Alpha a few years ago which was a pretty good movie, comes to mind as something that was inspired by this. It's any movie that deals with a dog and some kind of animal out in the wilderness finding their own way, yada yada yada. It's you've seen this story done a million times before, but it's really good. It's really well done. Like I said, I love some of my favorite moments of this movie were some of the quieter moments with the the quieter moments where it's this movie does something that I appreciate the hell out of, this being a kids movie, where it doesn't try to talk down the kids. Like there's narration by Harrison Ford throughout this movie, and it's only in there when it's necessary and not when it's not needed to be in there. Like when there's a lot of scenes where it's just Buck and the other dogs or Buck and other animals and interacting with each other, and you really don't need it. Anything to fucking tell you what's going on. You can tell what's going on. Anybody with a fucking brain can tell you what's going on. Kids aren't that stupid, and a lot of the scenes are really good and like really effective for the most part. I like that they didn't try to spoon feed this shit to kids, and they actually just let the scene happen and not try to over explain things. A lot of kids' movies nowadays would do that. I was just sitting there thinking to myself, like, this movie, if this was made by the wrong director, this movie would have talking animals. It's like, it would. People like, well, it is called a while, though. It's held in high regard, but I'm like, Not many. I was thinking, I was like, how many times has this book been adapted into film? This is the only second really big major adaptation put on the film for this book, which is amazing. Last one was like 1930 for Clark Gable, for fuck's sake. I've never seen it. Still never seen it, but yeah, I was like, that's amazing. For being like one of the best American novels of all time. Okay, well, since I've been talking about all the positives and stuff like that, let's get into the one big fucking negative. I think everybody knows what the negative of this movie was. I mean, it's not a fucking shock. I'm not the only one that's brought this up. Like I said, the CGI in this movie is fucking terrible. Oh my god, the CGI. It is really fucking bad. Look, I understand. I went into this movie with my thinking was, why the hell did they have a CGI dog? Why didn't they just get a real dog? Like, you could have the dog do a lot of this shit that happens in this movie. I do still believe that they should have had a real dog. It's a CGI dog throughout the whole fucking movie, and after seeing the movie, I can understand why they did a CGI dog. But it's because there's a lot of scenes that would be really hard to do with a real life dog. But again, I haven't seen the 1930s version, and they didn't have CGI back then. They probably used a real dog for the most of it, and there's ways around it. So what the fuck? Like, that's lazy. I'm like, okay, whatever. They wanted to try to do it. They wanted to mix it up a little bit, decided to just make it CGI, not really put any animals in harm's way. I get that. But the CGI in this movie is so fucking bad. It looks like they didn't even fucking try. There's points in this movie, it's like, they didn't even try with this. Like, this is a $250 budgeted movie, and this is the best CGI you can come up with? Like, really? Really? Where the hell did that $250 million go? They must have just flushed it down the toilet. And I wonder why this movie's fucking failing at the box office. It's really bad, man. Like, there's scenes that are like, especially at like when I talk about the dogs and scenes with the dogs and everything else like that. Like I said, it's effective for the most part. And what I mean the most part is because the CGI is so bad, it's distracting at times. And it's like, you're supposed to take shit seriously in like a very important scene, but you can't because they're looking at this obviously not their dog or like other animals. All the animals in this movie are CGI. Some of them could be pretty good. There's sometimes where the dog didn't even look that bad, but a lot of times it just looks so cartoony. And this is from the director Chris Sanders, who I didn't recognize at first. I said, I know that name somewhere, but I had to look it up. He's the director of the original How to Train Your Dragon, and it's obvious from that why, or it's obvious that somebody like him who is more known for making animated movies made this movie because it looks like a fucking animated movie. I apologize to Cats, like, for its CGI. Like, at least Cats, they were trying. I believe that they were trying. It was just very ill-conceived, I think is the best word, for what they were trying to do. This just doesn't seem like they were at all. They just were trying to, like, half-ass it as much as they could. God, the CGI, it is really bad. The CGI is really bad. Like, I apologize to Cats. I even apologize. Like, hell, like, I bitched about The Lion King. I hate Lion King. And this movie, one of the things I think it does is that it helps try to show emotions for the dog. Which, if you've ever met a dog, it shows a lot of emotions anyways, but you can have a trained dog do that anyways, but, like, at least this had the animals show at least some emotion. It looked like they were trying to show some emotion, unlike the Lion King, but also at the same time, the Lion King CGI was a lot better. It was a lot better and more convincing, even though, even though that movie had a lot of problems, but yeah, this CGI in this movie is fucking awful, and that's why I can't recommend this movie too much. Like, it's, I do like it, but it's not as, it could have been a lot better if it would have been if the CGI would have been a lot. The CGI would have been, if somebody would actually try to make good CGI, this movie would have been 10 times better, but it isn't. It really isn't. Like I said, it's a decent rental. That's about it. Trailers, I did get one new trailer. Wendy, it's called Wendy. It's a retelling of Peter Pan about these kids who go to this island where there's some fucking pollen growing that's causing them not to grow up, and the kid who plays Peter Pan is black. I'm like, oh boy, I'm sure people would be freaking out about that. It's like some kind of indie drama, kid drama, from the director of that movie, The Beast of the Southern Wild, which I still never got seen, which I hear is really good. I heard that movie's really good. I don't know, it didn't look bad. It is funny, like, watching these trailers, by the way. I forgot to mention this. Like, this movie, Call of the Wild, is pretty historic in that it's the first movie to be produced under 20th Century Pictures. Not 20th Century Fox. I don't know how many people know this, but I think everybody knows by now that Fox was bought out by Disney, and this is the first movie to be released under 20th Century Pictures because they decided to get rid of the word Fox in front of every one of those movies nowadays. Like, Fox Searchlight is now just Searchlight Pictures. So yeah, it's kind of funny to watch it. I was like, oh, it's so weird. You see the same intro and everything. It's like, it just feels so weird seeing, like, no 20th Century Fox, the word 20th Century Fox not being in front of the movie. And this is another one. I think it's Searchlight producing it. Man, that's so weird. But yeah, that's as far as trailers and the Call of the Wild. I'm hoping to go see The Invisible Man tomorrow. Hopefully. I've got a lot of shit going on right now, other than movies. But I'm going to try to go see The Invisible Man. I really want to see The Invisible Man. One way or another, I'm seeing that movie. So until then, I will talk to you guys later.